an upbeat day as the Browns. This is our post-game show. We got Ethan Greenberg there. We got Sam Britton and myself, John Suchan, here in the house. Positive music did not mean that we had a positive day out there on the field. The Browns go down to defeat 41-17. Now there might be a few bright spots. We can talk about that as well. I saw somebody's post who reacted to one of our posts on the Fanatical Elves X page, and they said, and I agree with this, and we'll get your comments here from you, Ethan and Samuel. But we're only 0-2, so that could be one way or the other. We had I thought, some good things defensively from this team, but there's just so much that they can do when the Browns offense sucks. So let's start with you, Ethan. How are you on this glorious, well, not a glorious day, but it's nice and sunny out here in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah,
How are you today?
I am doing all right. Well, the clouds seem to have come in here down in the Richmond, Virginia metro area. I'm doing all right, and I mean, I think going into this game, there was not, I didn't have very high expectations. I obviously am going to be rooting for the Browns. I want them to win, but I have a reality check in mind. Um, what I saw there today was you take the good, you take the bad,
Mhm.
you take them all, and then you have the facts of life. Um,
Facts of life. The facts of life.
you got that because you're of a certain age. Um, but there are some glaring issues,
Mhm.
and I don't know. One, and the offense is obviously glaring issue number one.
Yeah.
The question is why?
Mhm.
What is going on? Is it that the Ravens defense is that good? Is the
No.
Browns receiving core that bad? Is the
Mm.
offensive line play mediocre at best? You have questions. And then when that all
Mhm.
fails and the special teams takes a dump
Mm.
and you're hosed. The
I
defense
forgot about that.
the
Yeah.
defense did everything they could possibly do
Yep.
to keep this team in the game, and the offense let us down. But you're right, there are some bright spots. I'm not gonna look at it that negatively, or at least I don't want to. Not yet. Um, because there's other things that are going on. If you look at it around the AFC North, Pittsburgh loses to Seattle. Cincinnati wins, but Joe Burrow out with a toe injury.
Mm.
Let's wait and see what happens. Crazy things are going on, and this is an AFC picture and just a general thing.
Mhm.
Josh Allen, I don't know the exact nature of the injury, but he
Oh.
got knocked out of the game against the Jets. They kicked the crap out of him.
Mm.
But he left the game I think in the first half. I don't
Oh,
have the
wow.
information on that right now, but my son and I were watching all the games,
Yes.
and so I think there are some bright spots here, obviously. You look at it, we got Judkins.
Mm.
That shows you how bad Ford is.
Mhm. Well, let's get into that here in just a
Yeah,
little bit.
go ahead.
Let me run over here to Sam. What were your initial takes, Sam, on the whole game and everything that you saw?
I think the Ravens wanted to use us as a proof that they can score 41 points to the Bills. They're like, hey guys, look, we can actually score 41 points. They just needed to target, and obviously, I guess we were the target. So I think the defense for the Ravens was mad about that last game. I think that played a part in it. I think our offense
Mm.
just was bad, but I think the Ravens defense was super angry after what happened last week. I think that definitely was fueling them, but our offense just looked terrible. I mean, it didn't seem like we could do anything. Like at halftime, I think this game was winnable past
Mhm.
halftime. I mean, it was
Mhm.
what 13-3
13 to
at
3.
halftime.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
like that's two scores. You can come back from that without almost any, and you were stopping them. I mean, they were literally at
Sure.
the one, and you stopped them.
Yeah.
That was very impressive. The defense looked amazing, but at some point, there's only a certain amount of things a defense can do before they just start to fall apart, and
Mhm.
that's what happened. I mean, they can't. The defense can't win the game for you completely. You have to score, and the offense just was so bad, and that I think that was the problem.
Right, and actually, it was 10-3 at halftime.
10-3. That's right.
Oh
Yep.
wow, yeah.
It was two scores. Yeah. Let me ask you this, guys, because a couple things there that you guys have both mentioned. Let's first focus on a little bit of the offense and a little bit of the defense. I'm just going to give a shout out to the defense because there was a stretch, and you guys probably recall this, and I think texted you, Sam, that the when the Browns had the punt that was blocked and all this stuff. And there was another something happened. I forget what happened, but there were two stretches where Baltimore got the ball down inside the goal line, like, at the goal line. They stopped them 6 straight times, and it was the seventh time Cameron Mitchell comes up short on in the back of the end zone. But that was a huge stretch defensively. Then the other
Yep.
thing I was going to point out before, and then I'll let you guys continue, is on the offensive side of things. You were asking Ethan about whose fault is it? Is it the offense that bad? Would it look different? Blah blah. All that. They mentioned it in the broadcast that Joe, and you can see it. Flacco doesn't have that quick step. Those bootlegs and some of those things to get around. I think if you had one of the rookies like Dylan or Shador in there, I think we're talking a little different. So I right now, I mean, we're just 2 games in. So Ethan, where were you at with all that and like the defense that stopped there, and then what we were just talking about?
Right. So first of all, I think the boots that Joe Flacco is wearing are made of cement. Um,
Right,
but
right.
to be honest, at 40 plus years, at 40 years old,
Yes,
going on 41, what more would you really expect? I wouldn't expect
sure.
anything, more or less, however you want to phrase it. Um,
Well,
again,
let me ask you this, Ethan, because
go ahead.
Jeffrey's watching. Jeffrey, thank you for supporting our network. I know you've followed us a little bit here. He says we need offensive linemen really bad. Do we need offensive linemen?
I would say that I wonder what happened in there. It seemed like in the early going, we were pass happy. It appeared in the first few possessions,
Mhm,
even though we were making some nice gains, but then we throw some pass that would get blown up.
mhm.
And I believe that we have to incorporate and get into the run game a lot earlier and make it easier on Flacco or whomever the
Mhm.
quarterback is. And especially, I will say for Flacco, because he is so immobile at this juncture,
Yeah,
that's not going to be the strength of his game. If the pressure's getting there, he's in trouble. Um, yeah,
I think Ethan that Stefanski and Sam, maybe you were watching before halftime. At halftime, Stefanski got interviewed off the field
mhm,
and mentioned the run game. So when you go back and talk about how they were a little pass happy, they were that first series. They threw the ball quite a bit.
yep.
Then they started sprinkling in the run the next couple series, but we didn't do jack squat the first
No,
4 series of
nope.
of, of our offensive sets.
Nope. I mean, look at the average rushing yards. I mean, our carries, now
Yeah.
granted, I mean, 22
Um.
carries, 115 yards. Judkins, 10 for 61
Yep.
and a long of 31. So, I mean, I guess the other ones would have been 9 for 31 or 9 for 30 yards, so just over 3 yards a carry.
Hmm.
Jerome Ford had a few nice carries. But, I mean, and Dylan Sampson, unfortunately, his size is kind of tough there, 4 for 6 yards. Ouch.
Yeah. And then the wide receiver room, like you mentioned too. Sam, let me go run over to you here on the wide receiver room. Do you think that the Browns have an issue there? Because as you start looking at it, was that more on Flacco today or the wide receivers? They talked on the broadcast about the wide receivers not getting open, or there wasn't a lot. I don't know. I saw on some of those video replays. I don't know about you guys, but it seemed like we had wide receivers open, and it seemed like Flacco was not pulling the triggers so quickly. I don't know. Maybe I'm. What do you think,
Yeah,
Sam?
I don't know. I feel like it was a tandem between the two, to be honest. I felt like
Okay.
there was some problems between both of them. Flacco wasn't hitting his marks properly. The
Yeah.
wide receivers might have had some problems as well. It definitely felt like it was a combination of the two, but we threw the ball 45 times and only completed what, 25? Wait,
That's
or
he threw it
just counting
45
Flacco?
times last game. So
Right. It
Yeah,
was
it's
so like
25. Flacco was 25 of 45. Gabriel was 3 of 3 against,
yeah,
a softer type coverage. But
sure.
regardless, it's a lot of passing. I mean, and look at that. So actually, we 48 passes to 22 rushes. Now, I don't know when that changed, but that is not the balance. We need to be closer to 50
For
50.
sure. So do you blame that on the offensive line then? Like we're getting back to, is it an offensive line issue? At this point, you're 2 weeks in. To be honest, I don't know. Like, there's part of me that wants to say that it's not an offensive line issue. But when you saw a couple of those runs, when the players would get up, they would be emotional or acting like something, like with one of their linemen. So maybe the linemen aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing in that gap schemes that they have. I don't know.
I can't really tell. Something's just not right. But I also think, and you guys tell me what I was discussing this with my son as we're watching. Is that again because Joe is so immobile?
Yeah.
It doesn't. There's no threat for him to potentially pull it down and move. If
Right.
that pocket starts collapsing, he's not fast enough to get out of there. And it's not that he's not. That's just the fact of life. There, he's
Yeah.
older. That happens. It happened to Tom Brady. It happens to all these guys that get it. Aaron Rodgers is the same. It's just going to happen. I'm
Yeah.
old. It's all good. Um, Look, there's got to be a concerted effort to get this run game going. Now, did you notice? I didn't notice. I didn't hear them during the broadcast. Like Dewan was out for a few plays, and Leviston got called for a hold on one.
Saw that.
Then Dewan came back in, but and we'll switch. I'm sure we'll talk about the defensive side of the ball
Yeah.
and the area that was something to be a glaring issue going into the season, and a big worry is the secondary, and
Yes.
and
Well,
that
let's
was
just
a
jump
big
into that real quick because I mean, it's that nickel, it's that inside.
well,
Um, Cameron Mitchell was getting eaten up alive. I
well,
think
it's because Ward wasn't out there. He had, according to Mary
he
Kay,
got hurt.
she said it was cramping earlier
Okay.
in the game, and and then he came back in the second half and
Yeah.
was out there for a little bit, and then he was out again. I don't know the full extent of any of that. It's one of those things. I don't know about you guys, but
Well,
when it goes downhill like that, I'm like, I can't read
the
all the
thing too,
comments.
though, is you got to give like there the two touchdowns or the practical touchdowns that the Ravens had by Hopkins were phenomenal catches, and they were highly defended. So I
I got
can't
no problem with
really.
that.
I mean, the fact that he came up with both of those, I just was like, holy shit. You
That's
know,
one way of putting it. I've got no
yeah.
problem with the coverage on those plays. What do you think,
Well, and then
Sam?
the Browns' lone touchdown by Flacco
Oh
could
yeah,
have been picked, and it flies through the air. And fortunately, our guy Cedric Tillman catches it and scores our touchdown there through the air, which was nice. But I'm okay. So defensively, I mean Miles Garrett. I mean, my God, they were describing his motor, his second gear. He's got another sack and a half today. He's got 3.5 now in the season. He looks stellar. Mason Graham made a couple nice plays. Carson Schwessinger still continues to do some good things. Devin Bush had an opportunity for an interception that he should have caught in the end zone. I don't know if you remember that play where
he
it was
should have.
dropped and that he
Yep.
should have had an interception, went right through his hands. So again, so do you think either one of you, Sam or Ethan, Sam, what do you think about our Browns defense? Do you like what you're seeing? Do you
Oh
see
yeah,
what
for sure.
Ethan's do you see what Ethan's though saying about our secondary being our
Yeah, there
weakness?
was some problems there, but no, that defense felt amazing. You held Derrick Henry to what, 22 yards?
Yeah,
Was it?
again, we
23
Browns
yards.
fan.
You
Yeah,
held Derrick Henry to
yeah.
23 yards in a game. They weren't utilizing him though. They felt there was something up with them because they were not using Henry at all that game. They
Mhm.
were at the 1, the 2, the 3, and they just were throwing it over and over. And I'm like, he's Derrick Henry. You can punch through there. And so,
Yeah.
But did they do that, Sam, because they felt they weren't winning at the line of scrimmage?
yeah, you can say that. That's possible. But it's still Derrick Henry. Like when
I
they were at the
understand.
1,
I
when
understand,
they
but
were
I'm
at
just
the
asking.
1, they decided to not do it. And so there's obviously something there, but it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. You still held Derrick Henry to 23
23 yards,
yards.
11 carries, 23 yards as a team. 21 carries, 45 yards for
Yeah, like
rushing
Yeah.
yards.
you held them to 45 rushing yards. You would beat
What
them in every offensive statistic
so
or
this
so yeah, I think this defense was amazing. The secondary felt a little off, but I think
mhm.
people were starting to get tired as we got further into the game because the offense wasn't able to stay out there.
So
You're
but this
coming out as a defense, and then you have 3 minutes of offense, and you're back out on the field, and that starts to exhaust you after a certain amount of time.
Sam and Ethan again, this whole overview of the Browns defense, people are saying, we're 0-2, which is not the worst thing in the world, but they're all starting to say, how can we waste this great defense of ours this season? We're going to waste it again to a horrible season because our offense does jack squat again. Are you both concerned about that? I'm a little concerned about it, but it is still very early in the season. If this is week 6 or 7, 4 or 5 weeks from now, and we're still talking about the same subject matters, and we haven't scored but 10 points a game, then I'm that we have multiple issues on hand then. Because as much as I like, you know, to be honest, I mean, Kevin Stefanski, I know there's a lot of people out there in La La Land right now on social media right now who are pissy about Kevin Stefanski again and saying how he sucks and all this stuff. And I'm like, no, again, there were so many opportunities in this game that it's not Kevin. It's not Kevin's. I mean, yes, he's the coach, but as far as offensive play calling and all of this, there's just so many things. I do want people to stop saying though, and we haven't given Kevin Stefanski an elite quarterback. Let's just stop with that and let's just
He doesn't
play
need one. He
quarterback.
doesn't need an elite quarterback. He
Right.
needs an average quarterback. Guys, and this drove me nuts last week. Everyone went off the deep end about his offense and why we didn't score points.
Yeah.
Look, guys dropping the ball. I mean, that's a problem. Guys, this last week, the special team, Andre Schmidt missing kicks, all those things. The defense was incredible. They should have won last week. Okay.
Yeah.
And then this week, obviously, all those mistakes add up. You get a kick block. So I know that unfortunately, sometimes though, the head coach takes the fall for other people. So, okay. So the kick gets blocked. We
Yeah.
have the fumble recovery for a touchdown. We have an interception returned all the way down to the 1 yard line or two.
Right.
And I think that's where
Right.
we ended up holding them.
So that's
to
21 points practically right
But
there.
yeah, I mean, we gave away the game. I'm not on Stefanski for that. I saw the goofball, my buddy, and I love him. And I think you start to see people post things for clicks. But like Aaron Goldhammer saying we led the league in giveaways in 2023. We led the league in giveaways in 2024, and we're leading the league in giveaways right now.
What do we have?
At some point, it's on the coach. I'm
Yeah.
like, what are you talking about? How is he supposed to help when the quarterback throws it to the other team? When the quarterback fumbles the ball? How is that his fault?
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? That is
Yeah.
the dumbest thing I've ever heard in the past
Sure.
30 minutes.
Yeah. No, it is. But we're just not getting those things. And like we just mentioned, Devin Bush should have had an interception in the end zone. And I can't blame Stefanski for that. But that's something that has to be worked on in practices by the coaches and Jimmy Schwartz and all the guys that are working on the defensive end. Obviously, these guys are cornerbacks. So they're not built like wide receivers. So they're not expected to pick but yeah.
Yeah, let me ask you guys a question, though. At some point, do you start to see a separation in the blame game with the roster building, and do you start to look at Andrew Berry more so than Kevin Stefanski because we don't have the depth and the talent out there, or is this still all a fallout?
I think it's a collect. For me, it's they come as a pair. So whatever ends up happening, I can't see them being separated. So if Kevin gets fired, I think Andrew Berry gets fired. I don't know. That's what I would think would happen. But Sam, how do you feel about that? Do you think
I definitely think this could turn into a waste of another good defense? I feel like that's definitely a worry you have to think about. Yes,
don't
we're only
say
2
it,
weeks
Sam.
Well, we're only 2 weeks in. We still have what 15 playable games for the rest of the season. You could win 13 of those games and go 13-4 and win the Super Bowl. You don't know, but I think I don't think going with Flacco was a good decision. I don't know who else you would have gone with. I don't think you would have wanted to start a rookie. Now, maybe it would have worked out because you've seen what Jaden Daniels did. You saw what Bo Nix did. You've seen what all these rookies are doing. Maybe it would have worked out. And it would have been the best choice. And maybe they'll start him next week and he'll drop 270 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and we win. Because, I mean, who knows? But I think it's going to be somewhere. I think this season is going to be a hard one, depending on if it feels like this could be another defensive waste. But I still think this team has something there.
It's weird. I know, Sam. It's weird to me too. I don't know where you're going exactly, but what you're kind of talking about here, it's like I feel like this team is pretty good.
There's something here.
Yeah.
I feel like we saw what they did when Flacco was going off in 2023 when we had a good quarterback. I think if you gave the Browns the 13th best quarterback in the league, they could win 12 games and win the division. I really think that would be possible with our defense and with the offensive tools we still have. I think it would be possible. I just think we have such a bottom quarterback that it's just going to be too difficult, because quarterback wins in the NFL. You can have the best offense and the best offensive line, the best running back, but if your quarterback can't throw the ball, you're not going to win.
Okay, let me pause for a quick commercial break. This is the Fanatical Elves post-game show. We're going to talk more about the quarterbacks and the rookies on our return. We'll be right back. Hey, thanks for coming back to us, and thanks for watching us here live on the X, on Facebook, on YouTube, and please listen to our post-game show later on Apple, Spotify, anywhere you listen to your podcast. We really appreciate you coming along and listening to us. There are a lot of great other podcasting networks out there, and there's a lot of groups that we follow too here on the Fanatical Elves, but we really appreciate you taking the time to listen to Sam, Ethan, and I talk about what just happened. Let's briefly talk about Dillon Gabriel. I know it was against the second teamers and everything, but for God's sakes, man, I got to give some props. I know it was garbage time and everything else, but that throw he made to Dylan Sampson, like they said, going over the layer of the interior, and then awesome stuff. And happy birthday to Dylan Sampson, who turned 21
Youngest
today.
player in the NFL.
So let's talk about Dillon Gabriel a little bit. And I know you said before we came on air, Ethan, that Stefanski was asked about quarterback change, and he basically said they're staying with Flacco, which doesn't surprise me. But what do you think about Dillon and everything that's going to happen here?
You know what? I was surprised he didn't come into the game sooner. I thought he could have come in one drive sooner.
Sure.
It was already out of hand. I feel like he could have come in one drive sooner, but I'm glad he got in there. He got some meaningful snaps. I think we all knew going into the season, realistically, that the chance of Flacco making it all the way through the season, either via injury or poor play, or the team just losing, was more likely than not going to be the situation. He wasn't going to make it all the way through, and we were going to eventually see these rookies. Let me throw it out here, because this is where I'm just starting to have this weird feeling. I'm not saying, first of all, I didn't love the Dillon Gabriel pick. I like the Shedeur Sanders pick a little bit better, but Dillon Gabriel, he's good. He's good. I'm not going to have a problem with that. He's got stuff to work on, but he's a rookie. That's what you have. When Baker Mayfield was a rookie, now he was a number 1 pick. Let's not get that confused. Tyrod Taylor starts the season under, Hugh Jackass starts him. And and it was pretty I thought Baker had a really good preseason.
Right.
But he starts him, and then in that game against the Jets,
game 3, Thursday
night, Tyrod Taylor goes down with an injury, and Baker comes in, and the rest is history.
Yep.
I think that at some point you have to say, look, either we can lose and watch Joe Flacco get his butt kicked out there, or we can see what this rookie has. He's going to have to learn these defenses. He's going to have, but he's got the physical traits. It's more about, I think, the mental than the physical there, if that makes sense.
Are we talking about Gabriel or Shedeur?
I'm talking about Gabriel.
Gabriel,
I think
that's okay.
And I think same for Shedeur again. But I think as we're looking at it most in the current status, with Gabriel being the backup, I think he's got it. I think that there was a hope that Flacco could somehow find the 2023 magic.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it is. I just don't understand what's going on in this offense. Is it these defenses? Is it receivers?
He didn't look well to me. I don't know about you, but there was a couple times when he was on the sideline and he
did not
putting
look
his the towel over his head a few
Yeah.
times, like to decompress. I almost think that he either had a head cold or there's something going on. I don't know. I was speculating, but he didn't seem his jovial.
I thought the same thing, John, to be honest.
He's old too, so anything
Sam?
that happens to him, it compounds too. Like,
Yes.
If you're 40 and you go out there and you get tackled, okay, I'm sorry, I'm too young. But if you're okay, fine, I'll. But if you're his age, his age, it's all right. My dad would have given me the same hard time. And you fall on your leg because you got sacked. It's going to cause way more problems than it would if you were 22, 23. just
Yeah,
simply due to how, especially in the NFL, where you now quarterback is a little different because quarterback you aren't destroying your body as much as you are in other positions. But he's been in the NFL for what, 2 decades now? At some point, that starts to degrade your body, no matter what position you play. So that
for
just
sure.
compounds on itself. And so I think maybe he fell on something, messed something up, and it just hurt. And that
Yeah.
bothers you. That messes with your play. That can, or he was sick. I think that's always a possibility, but
There's a
he
lot of
definitely
sickness
didn't
going around
seem
these
right
days. So,
sometimes.
He's got kids. I think they might have gotten him ill. But that, the worst thing
right.
about,
But Ethan, you understand this because I know you were sick. I was watching your shows
yeah,
and you were coughing and stuff. I know that was.
yeah, it is lingering, and I'm fortunate that it wasn't a terrible illness, but nevertheless, the kids, they go to school, and they had the over under at
Well,
1 week
I'm in
for a
schools
total.
all day long, Ethan.
Yes, you are. Yes, you
Knock
are.
on wood, but I've become immune for the most part over
It's that.
all of these
It's those
years.
pencil shavings. It's those pencil shavings,
35
John.
years of being in the well, longer than that if you count all my school days. But anyway, okay.
Right. So I just the worst thing was that interception that Flacco threw was such a bad decision.
You
Like,
know, the thing is, he's made
what?
decisions like that where he hasn't. It
Did it?
hasn't backfired. The fact
Right.
is, he threw another one that was
That
caught for a touchdown that
right.
should have been intercepted as well by the Ratbird. So again, it's things aren't panning out. Let me
I
ask you this. Let's jump ahead a little bit. So the Browns have a home game coming up, and we can get into this late. I mean, later in the week, you guys will have your shows or whatever you do, but they had the Packers coming to town. It'll be a home game. I'm excited. I write for Northeast Ohio Sports Insiders, and I'm going to be hopefully credentialed.
Oh,
They
nice.
put in my request, and I should hear early this week. So I'm a little nervous. I've never done this before. I'll be sitting up there in the press box with some of those big wigs. I've heard that they're not always very friendly. So cross my fingers and pray for me, Ethan and Sam, that I make it
Well,
through. But
well, John, you talk to me. I'm not, a big timer. I'm a name dropper.
no,
I
I
feel
will. You
I,
know these guys. You've met these guys too, right? You've met.
I've met Grossi and had shots with him, and
Okay. Well, I'm
and
going to
he's
drop your name when I meet him.
hopefully he'll remember me. Just call me Ethan in Richmond. He'll know me from always contacting the show, and
Okay.
the other guy from 850.
But
If
I'm going to be there at the game
awesome.
again, and I'm looking forward to it. I imagine Green Bay is on a hot streak. Green Bay won a game on Thursday. They have all this time off before they play the Browns, which I don't know how that'll either benefit them or not. But regardless, we got Micah Parsons coming in. We've got a really pretty hot team coming in from the NFC, and the Browns fans there. The Cleveland will be really paying attention to what Joe Flacco does if he does start again. Could we see Dylan Gabriel earlier in this one? I suspect yes. But what are your thoughts? Sam, let's start with you.
Yeah, I'm gonna hot take. I think Packers are the best team in the NFL right now.
Hmm,
I'm gonna put it out there. I think they are probably the best team in the NFL. Their
okay.
defense looks amazing. Their offense looks really good. Now they have had some injuries. I think Jaden Reed had some injury last week that messed him up. I don't know what it was again, but he got hurt. But I
Mhm.
think they have one of the best defenses. I think they have one of the best offenses. I think
Yeah.
in such a wide open NFC where basically only the Eagles are the team you have to deal with. I think they're the best team in the NFL right now. I say, I'm not a head coach, I'm not an
Okay.
owner. I say you're probably going to lose. It sucks, but they're on a tear. They have all these good players. They're hot.
Sure.
Start Dylan Gabriel's. Give him the reps.
Start him.
Let
Okay.
him play. If he comes out there and shows up against one of the best defenses in the league, you've got something.
What if yeah, I'm sorry, Sam.
Because if you start him against the like a bunch of preschoolers out there for like
Like
some
the
random like the
Bengals.
Panthers, you're not going to see truly what he can be. But if you start him against the top 5 defense and he shows out, right, you see 21 for 30 for 210 yards and 2
Mm,
touchdowns, that you got something because he threw that on a good defense too. And so I say start him. I say just let it happen because that you probably will lose the game, but I'm not a head coach. I'm not an owner, so they probably have better thoughts than I do. But in my opinion, I just say put him out there and let him get the
rip
reps
it.
out.
Rip it. What do you think, Ethan?
On one hand, I would agree, and I'm all for it. I could see it. and I wouldn't have a problem with it if they put him out there to start the game. I don't think it's a situation where he's going to get killed, a la guys we've seen in the past who went to a terrible team. We're not going to see him like expansion year Tim Couch. We're
Yes.
not going to see him Houston Texan David Carr. I think
Mm,
he's better than that, and so I don't think he's going to like lose confidence because of it. Um,
mhm.
I don't think they're going to pull the plug yet,
Okay.
but I think the leash is a little bit shorter. And if they are not moving the ball again
Yeah.
and the defense is balling out and they just can't do squat, I could see them pulling the plug. I could see them making a change and saying, we've got to do something to get this offense going. And we think he can do it. We can't keep doing this dink and dunk. I feel, how is it that we got this Isaiah Bond guy and we can't get him to blow the top off the defense running a 4.29 or 4.39 40? I
True.
feel like this is ridiculous.
He
With
did
that,
one end
that's
around,
all.
which was pretty nice
It was. It
today. He
was.
went for about 10 yards. And he's like, again, Isaiah Bond, Quinshawn Junkins, they're coming in. They haven't had a full preseason. They came in late. So I'm gonna give him a little bit of time.
But
By
they
the
both
way, I
look
was
good.
surprised. Quinshawn Junkins, um, to me personally, I don't know about you, what you guys thought. He didn't look as big as I was anticipating. I thought he'd look a little bit like in stature and physique, look a
Yeah,
little bit bigger than Dylan. I know he's bigger than Dylan Sampson,
yeah, he
but
is.
I guess after seeing Nick Chubb,
Ah,
is
yeah,
Nick Chubb looks a little bit. I mean, he's bigger and stronger than Quinshawn
right.
Junkins, but aren't they about the same like height? Wasn't Quinshawn
I
about
can look it
six?
up. Give it a
Isn't
toss
Quinshawn
here.
about 6 foot, 6'1"?
Quinshon is 5'11", and
Oh, really? Okay.
yeah, he's a little bit shorter. I'm going to get the weight here: 5'11", 221.
So
Uh,
Nick Chubb is like 6'1", right? So that's probably the
I
other.
right. But he is a power back. He had a burst to him, and I loved what he
Mhm.
did. Yeah, on
That
short
late
notice.
run was great. That late run was great.
Yeah, on short notice, he looked very good. I
Mhm.
still like Dylan Sampson. He is a dynamic player. I
Yeah.
think Jerome Ford, when he's decisive, can be all right, but I think he's on the outside looking in right now.
Do you think
Um,
he might get traded or released this week and go to
I,
like someplace like Washington?
that's what I joked earlier in the week. I got a couple questions on the Hey Tony segment on Friday is a really big show.
Yeah.
I said, well, would they trade him
Yeah.
to Washington? And he's like, I don't know, it depends, and so on. But if we could get a bag of peanuts for him, assuming no one's allergic to peanuts in the locker room, I might
Yeah.
take it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sam, again, I like your take. I think it's not a crazy take at all. I think at this point in the season, we're early. We know we're not going to have we know we're not planning on getting a lot of wins, especially after what we've seen. But with this Browns defense, starting Dylan Gabriel, moving forward, seeing what he can do against a top 5 team, like you said, against the Green Bay Packers, it would be fun. It would be a home game. There would be some a little bit more boost, a little bit more exciting. I think that would be helpful to the fans and maybe even to Dylan Gabriel to have the home crowd
Yeah, when you're
behind
not going
him.
into a hostile environment, it definitely helps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
For
I
reference,
get,
John, I'm
yeah,
sorry. I just want to.
yes.
Nick Chubb listed at 5'11", 227.
Interesting. It's just I think maybe Nick just
It's the
looks a little bit
build. It's the build.
bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
By
Sorry.
the
I
Well,
didn't.
I
way,
mean,
not to
Nick Chubb's
change.
the guy who squats like 900 pounds. So, I mean,
Yes. Well, by the
I'm
way,
not
I
gonna.
just want to talk about this Monday night. I will be watching closely Baker Mayfield against Nick Chubb. I still have that bet to get with Steve Gill about that Nick Chubb's going to go for 1,000 yards. I'm anxious to see the two of them compete against each other in this Monday night game. But so not that we
I'll
are.
be rooting for the Texans. Thank you.
Yes.
Can I bring up what
Yes.
Jeffrey said here?
Yes. Go
Right
ahead.
here, this one, Caleb Williams. I don't think they're even going to get rid of him. To be honest, I don't think. I think Caleb Williams could be good. I don't think he's bad. I feel like he's not in a good situation, but it's so hard to tell with the rookies.
Mm,
You
Well,
clearly have something.
what is this?
Yeah,
Is this his second season?
I
Caleb.
think it's his second season.
Right. I think. No, actually, it's his third. It's his third because last year. God. Oh wait. No, you're right. You're right. Second season.
second.
Yeah,
I'm getting all confused. I think he's a head case. I think
I
Caleb Williams is a head
agree.
case.
I totally agree with you.
Although Chicago is a terrible situation and their coach last year was that was awful.
Now I like their head coach, Sam.
Right,
I
their
like
head coach this year is all right, but last year was
yes,
terrible. Last year
yes.
was
No, I like Ben
awful.
Johnson, the kid, the guy that they got there
Oh yeah,
now.
Ben Johnson's
Good.
great.
But I don't want to touch that with any kind. Like, no, let somebody else. He can be somebody else's problem. I
Yeah.
think at this juncture, guys, you tell me. As we're starting to see this season, I know it's only been 2 weeks, but as I'm looking down the long road ahead, I see I see a situation or scenario playing out where we are going to get a very good look at Dylan Gabriel and probably also Shador Sanders.
Yeah.
And we will know if that happens, we likely are going to stink.
Did you
And
hear? Did you hear them during the broadcast talking about Stefanski's precise plan down to the
yes,
minute?
yes,
I thought that
yes.
was interesting because a lot of people are lambasting the Browns organization,
Right.
saying, "Oh, well, Shadur's on the practice squad." Tony Rizzo was going off and like, just trade him.
Yeah,
Like, just stop.
stop.
I
It,
like you, Tony
yeah,
Rizzo. I respect you. I think you're one of the best in the business. I've listened to you. And by the way, Tony Rizzo, I want to give it a quick shout out for damning Chris Canty, who's a freaking a-hole to the
yep,
nth degree.
yes,
Um, tap dancing on Cleveland. You can just go to hell. Like
yep.
Tony Rizzo said, you're dead to me. So anyway, I appreciate Tony Rizzo stepping up,
Right.
calling, and anyway, back to the
No, I think that at the end of the day, we are likely going to see these guys get a very good look at them. And we are going to be, and if that's the case, we are not going to be a very good team with a very good record. And we are likely to be drafting very high. And we will know if there is a quarterback to be taken that
yep.
we think can improve upon what we've got. They're going to
But
take them. But I don't,
Steve, I mean, Sam, I don't know if you're part of this. No, I don't think it was just Steve and I this morning, but I don't know what you see, Ethan, but the quarterbacks out there right now that we're
oh, they
projecting in
stink. They
2026,
stink.
there's nothing
No,
as
no.
no.
Well,
So
but if you look at it last year, Cam Ward was nowhere near the top of the draft board, and he came out of
sure,
nowhere. Carson Beck was like, and Quinn Ewers were some of the top prospects, and they
yes.
stunk.
No,
And
I'm
this,
happy with who we got. The more
right,
I've seen, and what Dylan Gabriel
I
did, what
want
he
to,
showed me under the circumstances in a real game, he was 3 for 3, made a touchdown pass,
yep,
and did what he needed to do. And so, I don't, to be honest, I don't think any rookie can just step in there, even with second teamers, and do what he just did against the
right.
Baltimore Ratbirds. So,
I hope that the case is that we
yeah,
get a good look at these guys, and they feel confident that they've got their guy, whether it is Dylan Gabriel or
yeah,
Shador Sanders. I would love it, even if we aren't good and we have a bad record this year, if they feel that they've got their guy and then can focus on high draft picks on quality players, like I'm sorry, I'm going to do a homer take here, but like a Caleb Downs,
yeah,
who's going to be
yeah.
eligible for the draft. You get an impact player like that, and you get a top offensive player, then I
Bye, John. You can't see him over the text.
What?
You can't see you over the text.
Oh,
You're
really?
like
I get
completely
okay.
blocked out.
Let me pull it back up here. Let's see.
well, that's right. I'd rather get a veteran, build a team around the veteran, and then hand the keys to a younger guy eventually. Green Bay Packers do
Sure.
that formula over and over, and it works. Right.
Yeah.
So therein lies the situation. We've got we've got a setup for that where we could use, one of these young guys and go from there. I think
Yeah.
that they're gonna have to do a lot of evaluating. And you saw it week 1 of the college football season. Barry and Haslam are all over flying
Yeah.
everywhere to
Yeah.
check out these quarterbacks because
Yeah.
they know. Did you guys see? And and this is a little bit off topic, but going to the quarterback room. What the hell was with that report this morning on ESPN or from the
Oh, that's
Baltimore Order
again.
about the Sanders thing? Like, why is that?
Yeah.
That's just a click thing, right? Sam, you're younger
Absolutely.
than us. Is that just a click thing?
Yes.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Come on,
Yeah.
give me a break.
That was just to get some clicks. Yeah. Yeah. I like our situation, even though we are 0-2. Let's
Yeah.
get some final takes here. Sam, what's your final thoughts on the game? And
Yeah,
I
I'll
know
say
the two
to
of you
what
have some things coming up this week. So, yep.
I'll say to what Jeffrey said. I think the problem with the NFL, I wouldn't say it's a problem, but I'd say there is no formula to build an NFL team. It just happens. You stumble upon a Tom Brady, right? No one thought Tom Brady was going to be the greatest NFL player in history. They picked him, they put him out there
Right.
because their other quarterback got hurt, and the rest is history, right? There is no formula. Now there's things that have historically worked better than others, but there is no formula. Things just happen, right? You take a chance on a Brock
Mhm.
Purdy. Now, say what you will
Mhm.
about him, he's having his own problems, but you take a chance on someone in the 5th round, 6th round, and they blow up and you win 2 Super Bowls because of it. And it's
Yeah.
or you spend 15 years and you don't draft anyone, or you and so it's there's no formula. You just get lucky or unlucky. But I think, like Jeffrey said in the text above, I think I wouldn't be disappointed if we spent a wide receiver and and an offensive lineman as our drafts next year,
Mhm.
as because I don't know what's going on with the quarterbacks these past few years, but there hasn't been anyone I've been confident in
Mhm.
for the past probably 3 years, I'd say, and I
Mhm.
don't see anyone next year. I don't
Mhm.
see anyone in 2027. Maybe you say Arch Manning.
Mhm.
I need to see more of him though to see how he performs. But I think right now, I think if Dylan Gabriel shows up, if Shador Sanders shows up, you
Mhm.
draft offensive linemen and wide receivers.
Mhm.
If they are good, I will be furious if you don't, because you want to give them as many weapons as humanly possible. And with the
Cool.
draft, wide receivers and offensive linemen, running backs, defensive players, they seem to be in too much supply. I think there's too
Mhm.
many good defensive men, defensive linemen, defensive safeties, all these guys. I feel like there's too many. They're too good. And so, yeah, if one of these rookies shows out, that whole draft should be offensive linemen, wide receivers, and fixing up a few defensive holes if that's what you want to do, because you want to
Yeah.
spend every
I
last drop of currency you have on building something around that rookie quarterback.
the Jerry wide receiver like Jerry Judy. I think we all got sort of fixated on him at the end of last season, and I just and I know we've had some issues on the offense, but I'm not. I haven't been real sold on Jerry Judy. I know he had some years in Denver, and it was up and down, and so I'm not a real fan of his. I'd like to see a lot more from him, but that's an issue that's going to continue. So I'd like to see if we do put the rookies in there, who's going to step up, who's going to be that guy that Dylan Gabriel or maybe potentially Shador is going to rely on. Harold Fannin, again, the tight end from Bowling Green, dynamite. I love this kid. I think he could really work into things. David Njoku, maybe because they're double teaming him or different things like that, has not been a factor at all in these first 2 games. So that's again another player that has a veteran presence that hasn't showed out. So, all right,
Well,
Ethan, I'll give you the final thoughts.
sure, sure. Thank you very much. And thank you for having me. Join in here this afternoon. I was much more angry last week. I was kind of resigned to what happened this week. Um,
I'm right with you, Ethan.
it was just one of those things. But just for a stat fact here, Njoku targeted 5 times, Fannin targeted 5 times, Judy was targeted 8,
Yeah,
Ford 6, Tillman 7.
yeah.
The wide receiver room is not great. I think that there's the building blocks there for the Browns. And as we talked earlier in the program, there are injuries that are going to happen. Who knows what's going on with Josh Allen? Who knows what's going
Mm,
on with Joe Burrow? I don't think Kansas City is a lock.
no.
Miami is certainly a.
Did they win today? Did Miami end up winning?
No, they ended up losing.
Losing.
Yeah, it was crazy. They return a touchdown, and on the ensuing kickoff, return for a touchdown for the Patriots, and then they held the Dolphins and come away with a win.
Wow.
So I think that there's question marks there. Um,
Hmm.
there's an opening there. The Steelers are not are real. They lost today to
Yeah,
Seattle, and so let's not. I think first of all, let's not give up on the season yet.
sure.
We've seen the Browns do a lot with very little in other seasons.
Sure. Now, this is the first season that Stefanski is 0-2.
It
Uh,
is. It is. And I'm not. I know that's just a stat. It is what it is. I'm
It
not so
is.
concerned. I'm not really concerned about it. This is a brutal start to the schedule. We really needed to
There's some
finish
other stat that
one.
said there's only been 7 teams that have made it to the playoffs after starting 0-2, but the Ratbirds did it last year.
Sure, and I mean, other you can make and now it's a 17-game season. You got a long way to
Right.
go. The problem is now we're 0-2 and 0-2 in the division. That hurts. That hurts
That
a little bit
does.
there.
You're right. Good point.
Um, and so when you lose in the division, that's a big minus. You lose
Yep.
to an AFC opponent, that's a little bit smaller of a minus. And then NFC, okay,
Yeah.
that's the least of the evils there. At the end of the day, there are some really good pieces to this team.
Mhm.
But we have some significant issues and holes potentially,
Mhm.
and where we were thin. That defensive backfield, losing Martin Emerson before the season,
Mm.
and then having Denzel Ward apparently out with cramping or whatever was going on,
Yeah.
it showed that was an issue. But the front four is playing magnificent.
Mhm.
Love to see that. And if you can get adequate quarterback play and you
Mhm.
start to balance the offense a little bit, I think this
Sure.
team has some has some wins in them,
Yeah.
and it shouldn't look this bad. Today was just it was one of those days. And if you remember, guys, who was Kevin Stefanski's first game against?
Yeah.
It
We got
was
slaughtered.
we got slaughtered, and then the next week we went out and won, and that was a playoff
Yep.
year. I know it was
Sure.
different because it was a COVID year, and it was so
Right.
crazy.
Right.
And going back to what you said, Sam, about you know there is no formula and you get kind of fortunate. I mean, if you look at it, what did Kansas City do? They had Alex Smith and they had
Mhm.
Patrick Mahomes, a first rounder, and they sat him an entire year. And
Mhm.
he was a first rounder. They sat him an entire year. He
Mhm.
played, or except for the last game of the season, which was inconsequential because they had locked up the playoffs, whatever. And then the next year, he's fine. They
Mhm.
knew what they had. But
Yeah.
this is where the talent evaluation has to come into play. And I think that's where people are all pissed off with Stefanski and Barry. But
Mhm.
I think Haslam is showing a lot of patience, knowing,
Mhm.
hey, we as an organization screwed up with the
Well, and
Deshaun
you're
Watson
playing so
move.
many
And
more young players, the rookies, all these
yes,
kids that they were talking about. That all happened today, and that's what the Browns are doing. So we have to take that into some account.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
that's all I
All
got. I
right.
mean, it's nothing great, but
No, I
it is what
love
it
it.
is.
Hey, everybody. Thanks again for joining us here on the Fanatical Elves post game show where the Brownies go down to defeat 41-17, though it wasn't quite as bad as the score looked. We'll be back here again next week. I believe Ethan's got his Going Nuclear programming coming up. Sam's got his Browns breakdowns coming up. I
Yep.
appreciate you guys.
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Appreciate you guys participating and helping our network out. Spread the love. Go Brownies. And we'll talk to you all very soon. See you, Ethan. See you, Sam.
See you,
Go
John.
Browns.
Go Browns.